Hi everybody, it's Nicole here from Baby2Sleep, and today I am joined by the wonderful Sue Atkins, the parenting expert, on our 12 Days of Christmas series. This is something that has been really special for me, that she said yes to talking to me, and obviously wanting to share her experiences and support you as parents throughout Christmas and on your parenting journey as well, because coming up to Christmas, it can be so hard, especially if families are separated or there's distance. We've gone through a really difficult 20 months where we've had COVID and, bringing families together and so much disruption. And I'm so happy that Sue is here and she's going to be able to talk to you and give you some bits of advice that can help you in that run up to Christmas with your children, and with, how to deal with things like anxiety in children and separation. Well, we've not got long, so we'll see what we can get, but I'm going to pass you over to Sue and just let her introduce herself.
Oh my goodness. Hello. Well, I'm Sue Atkins, the author of Parenting Made Easy, How to Raise Happy Children, Raising Happy Children for Dummies, one in the famous Black and Yellow series. I'm also the author of the Can Do Kids Journal, Discover Your Confidence Superpower, and the Divorce Journal for Kids. So I've written a couple of books for parents and a couple of books for children. And I'm passionate about parenting, and I'm currently writing and producing the Toddler Roadmap, which is absolutely everything that you will need to know about raising a happy, confident, well-rounded toddler, so that you can feel relaxed and confident. They've got, good mental health and strong self-esteem. That's underpinning all my work, really.
That's fantastic. Oh, you gosh, honestly, toddlers, they're so difficult, aren't they? They're incredible, absolutely incredible. And the speed that they learn, wow, it really is amazing. And that can be so challenging for us as parents, because it's like, well, what do they understand and what don't they understand? And how can I actually make sure I'm giving them the right tools to help them and I'm not confusing them?
No, I mean, it's a wonderful time at those toddler years, when they turn from a baby, which is pretty helpless, into this toddler that's a bundle of fun, bundle of energy, bundle of curiosity. It can also come, can't it, with frustrations over because they haven't got the language. They get frustrated, they have tantrums, they have meltdowns. Because if you realize that actually what they're trying to do, they're really trying to be independent. And if you understand that's what's underpinning all that behavior, when they get annoyed when you try and strap them into the car seat, or you cut up something for them and they want to do it themselves, or they want the blue beaker, not the yellow one, or the red jumper, not the orange one. All these frustrations are actually underneath this idea of, control and capability. So if you think of it as, how can I make them feel more capable? How can I kind of let go of some of the things that I'm bossing them around doing, and sort of help them feel as if they are being helpful by laying the table or helping me with, unpack the laundry or something, and talking with them, not at them all the time, then you'll find that those meltdowns and those toddler tantrums sort of subside a bit, and it goes from being the terrible twos to the terrific twos, because their brains are developing such, quicker rate. They're learning like sponges, and so it's a wonderful time. So you don't want to damage the relationship you have with them. You want to enjoy them, but it's tiring. So you need to get plenty of sleep yourself and plenty of rest if you can.
Absolutely. And do you know what? It's interesting you say that about obviously the brains and everything, the speech. From a sleep side of things, I tend to find around that 2-year point, that's when sleep normally takes a massive hit as well.
Yes.
Because the brain is going at such a speed.
Yes.
Something's got to take a back step somewhere so everything else can sort of mold a little bit, really. And that's
when parents, I've just uploaded. It's just actually funny enough, sleep is a big thing, because I've just uploaded today some videos all around night terrors, nightmares, and the sleep fairy technique that I sort of talk and teach people around too, because it is, and it's important that you put in routines around bedtimes, isn't it? Because then they get the rest that they need, so they can wake up the next day not irritable, and they are growing physically as well, so they need their rest. And in fact, society generally, because we're all on our phones all the time, you notice it. I notice it myself. Sometimes I'm too buzzed up to sleep, so you've got to be mindful of that. And certainly with children, it's about, when they come down for a drink of water and then they say, oh, I've lost my teddy, or I need to do something, you've got to keep putting them back to bed and helping them settle themselves. And one of the things I talk about is self-soothing, because a toddler needs to learn to self-soothe. Now, I don't know about you, well, mums do actually fall into bed and fall asleep instantly, but most people don't. You know, you sort of go to bed, you have a bit of routine, maybe you read or you have a bath or you have a hot drink or something. Same for the children. And then you kind of ease yourself into relaxing and drifting off. And we've got to expect that kids, just like us, we wake up in the night too, but we probably don't remember. We turn over, or sometimes you go to the loo, or whatever you do. But toddlers are the same. So we need to teach them to stay in their beds and to fall asleep, if you want them to stay in their own room, you know, themselves, self-soothe them. And that's important. And we forget that. We're trying to control them all the time, and we should be kind of trying to talk and teach them, really.
It's helping them, isn't it? It's not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
It's helping them.
Yes.
And that's it. We're not saying, you know, oh, it's, you know, I'm telling you, you must stay in here. It's actually, do you know what? Actually, you know, what we can do is help and support you by, you know, making sure we've got good routines in place and that we're not confusing you and sending you conflicting messages.
Yes.
And sometimes you can do this and sometimes you can't.
Yes.
Because
yes.
Where does that leave a 2-year-old?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Consistency is the name of the game. And it's interesting, I read a really good book called Parenting Without Borders, talking about all sorts of parenting issues from around the world. The lady Christine, she wrote the book when she came from America. She went to live in Japan, and she got very interested in the different styles around sleep. And it's a lot of the Western thing about putting them into their own rooms and putting them away from us. Because in other cultures, people sleep together for ages, years even, you know, and then when they're ready, the kids kind of don't feel stressed about it. They don't have to then sleep next to you. But yeah, it's about relaxing and whatever works for your family, not necessarily getting obsessed with what the experts necessarily say is the right way to do it, and bearing in mind your cultures, you know.
Absolutely. So coming up to Christmas, so we've got a lot of families that may have separated, we've got a lot of anxieties. What would you say for a family that is maybe going to see grandparents that they might not have seen for a long time, and maybe spending Christmas elsewhere, or having people coming into the house that they don't know? How would you say is a good way to obviously help children sort of ease into that might be?
Well, there's quite a lot of things going on there. For divorced children, it's an opportunity to make new traditions. So, for example, if you used to have a plastic Christmas tree, perhaps now you'd like to have a real Christmas tree. That makes it special. Now your Christmas is different. So look for ways that you can introduce new traditions, and, you know, I don't know, bike rides on a Saturday morning and have bacon sandwiches after, whatever it might be, so that you have then transitioned from what you used to do to what you now do. And when they're getting very excited around the Christmas time, it is looking for ways to bring that sort of energy down a little bit, certainly before bedtime. So it's about doing the slow things like playing on the floor quietly and then maybe reading a story, so that you start, and even if they're in a different environment, they're staying with friends, or you've gone to grandma's or something, keep a lot of your routines similar, but also don't beat yourself up with a big stick if you can't, because Christmas is the whole point of Christmas. It's a celebration. It's different. It's noisy. There's lots of glitter. There is lots of presents, lots of chocolate that gets everyone high. So you have to kind of find that balance. But often an overexcited child will have a meltdown and won't find it hard to go to sleep. So just make it mindful that even if you are in a new place or staying with relatives, try and keep some of it similar, so that your child, you know, the routine of maybe brushing their teeth, putting on their pajamas, having a story, that will keep the routines kind of moving similar, so that it's not so different. But, you know, it's a balance, isn't it? Because you want to have fun as well.
Yeah, it's so hard because my little girl now, she's 20 months. And and this isn't for so many children that have been born around the whole lockdown area, that they've not really, they might not have gone and stayed with other people's houses so much. And, you know, that can be quite terrifying, I suppose, to a child, where they kind of go, well, where am I? What is this? This isn't my environment. And I don't know, I just think it can be quite scary, and the parents can possibly, I know exactly what you're going to say to this, but what the parents could be feeling as well. And, you know, are the parents feeling nervous about it? What would you say to that?
Yeah, but well, kids pick up your vibes all the time. don't they? It's a bit like when you go to, I remember, this is a true story, when I went to a dinner party and we're all there, we took off our coats and you thought, oh my God, you could cut the atmosphere in here with a knife. And yet they're all smiling and saying, lovely to see you. We've come, we've come for dinner. Because kids are like that. They're intuitive. They pick up, although you might be saying something, if you're not congruent with actually feeling it and you appear anxious and nervous inside, then they're going to pick that up. And also stories and books are a great way to introduce new things to kids and prepare them a bit. So, not too early, because of course they've got no concept of time. But if you know you're going to stay at a different house or you're going to see grandma or something, start talking about it a couple of, or 2 or 3 days beforehand, and prepare it and make it sound interesting and exciting perhaps, and lovely, and talk about the different rooms, or whatever it is, so that your child is not suddenly thrust into a new scenario that they may not be used to. And if they're shy, and if they're going through, even if they're going through a phase of being a little bit shy and nervous and a bit clingy, don't poo-hoo that, respect it, and allow them to come out of their shell gently and slowly, because the more you force them to do something, the more they feel anxious. So it's about relaxing and just going with the flow a little bit, I think.
Absolutely. And giving them that little bit of giving them a little bit of grace to be, I'm going to use a word I don't like using now, but it's giving them a little bit of grace to be naughty. It's not that it's naughty, but it's that when they don't know how they're feeling, some things are a bit all over the place, their emotions are a little bit more heightened and they're nervous, they may become a little bit more tantrumy, or they may throw something a little bit more, because they don't know how they're feeling and how to deal with that sort of situation. So being a little bit more forgiving and understanding that they could be feeling that way as well.
I know, you know what made me smile, actually, because sometimes when you go and stay at the mother-in-laws or something like that, and of course, they don't do it that way, they're old school or something, you can get quite nervous yourself and anxious about impressing or trying to do it right the way that your mother-in-law would like it done. And of course, the kids pick up on that big time and they make it worse. Then they really play up because you're going, oh, don't do that, don't touch that. Come here. Ooh. So yeah, get yourself in a good place as well. Relax and don't hit the wine too soon, but it is about relaxing and preempting it. And I do an exercise where you visualize it going well and you see if it goes a bit pear-shaped. And I've got something called the 1 point that I teach people on my roadmap, and it's about getting grounded and centered and positive so that you're in a good place always. That's most of this. Parenting life is all about you, really. Modeling. Getting congruent with what you want, modeling it, and knowing what you're trying to achieve and all of that stuff. And so whether it goes pear-shaped or perfect, you're in a good place. And I think that really helps your children relax then, because they can see you're relaxed and enjoying the situation.
It makes such a difference, doesn't it? If you're I'll find it, I'll go out with my toddler, and it was most, to be honest, my husband doesn't really come out very much at the moment, but when we used to go out with my elders when she was a toddler, she'd get away with, when I say get away with, I'd be much more relaxed when it was just me and her. And I remembered this because I went out with my youngest yesterday, just me and her. And she wasn't playing up, but she was making a bit of a noise and stuff like that in Costa, which actually the couple next to us, they were sort of egging on a little bit. And I sort of sat and I thought, you know what? They're all right. She's happy. She's making a bit of noise. When it gets a bit too much, I will stop it and intervene.
Yes.
But actually, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
If my husband was there at that point, though, I would have been on the edge of my seat, because it's like, oh gosh, no, he can't stand that. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like the show. It's too noisy. We're bothering people around us. Or I'd be worried about what he'd be thinking.
Yes.
And that's the only thing when you say about the mother-in-law, is what will they be thinking about how I'm dealing with this situation? Should I be doing?
And that's when you got to have a conversation with your partner, actually, because they've got different styles. And sometimes, it's because they don't know what a 2-year-old behavior is sort of like. And, of course, nobody wants a 2-year-old running around Costa, tripping up, people with coffee. There's a big difference between that and just an exuberant, normal little girl chatting or laughing or playing or singing or something. Everyone can tell the difference between that. So it is difficult. And sometimes we have to sort of talk and have those conversations with our partners and husbands and wives around, well, what are our rules and what is okay? Because sometimes, for example, you know, mums have read magazines or they've read books or they've read blogs I've written or something, and they go, well, actually, you know, this is quite healthy, this is normal. Whereas they don't know because they've never had a child before. They don't know what the normal is, you know, and they revert, and loads of people revert back to how they were brought up themselves. And if that works okay, sort of fine. But sometimes people want to kick that habit and go, well, I didn't really have a happy childhood. My mum and dad were always on to me. And in fact, I'm going the other way now. I'm going to be completely saying nothing and let them do what they like. So you've got to always keep finding this balance. And you never get it quite right. It's like spinning all the plates at the circus. Remember the clowns used to do that. You never get them all spinning exactly at the same time, but you do try a bit. So have conversations if that's what's happening, so that you relax when you both go out to Costa, so you can enjoy the moment.
Yeah, and it is. I actually really enjoyed myself. And I thought, you know what, she's not harming anybody. She's sitting in a high chair. She's smiling. She's happy.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, and I'm not stressed. But I just know if my husband was there, that would have been a very stressful experience. So, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I actually quite like going out, just me and her. So, but no, this is really good because it really gives people that, you know, ideas of what to do and sort of prepare them, because it really is a case of you don't want to just jump in, but then you don't want to do what you were saying before, plan too early and start laying that anxiety seed. Actually, if it's just before, we're letting you know this is going to be happening, we can visualize it. We could potentially show them pictures of where they're going to be staying as well.
Yeah.
You know, this is where you're going to be sleeping, this is what the living room looks like, so they know what they're walking into as well. And they feel good about that situation. You know, but yeah, there's so much stuff. And if anybody is going through a really, really difficult time, especially with breakups, Christmas is a really difficult time. If you're in a relationship that has broken up, you know, I would highly recommend it, having a look at Sue's page, get her books, do her courses, because you know, at the end of the day, it's difficult for you, it's going to be difficult for your ex, it's difficult for your children. And actually, we want to make sure that you're coping as parents as best as you can, and that your child is not impacted. They will be impacted, obviously, because, you know, it is what it is, but as little as possible, and that there's more positives from that. You know, so I would highly recommend going over to Sue's page, having a look at what she's got on offer, and, you know, just kind of following that kind of journey as well. Sue, where can people get your stuff?
Well, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram as Sue Atkins 18, but my website is thesueatkins.com, because there's a lady sitting on a yacht that's not me. So mine is the one and only Sue Atkins, thesueatkins.com. And keep it and sign up for my newsletter, because if as you know, I'm creating this toddler roadmap, and if you'd like to know when you get the first dibs on when it comes out, if you've signed up to my newsletter, you'll see it first, have access to all the stuff that I've covered. So yeah, join my journey. Also, if you sign up for my newsletter, I give away 3 books every month, because I have my book club, and they donate 3 books from the book club every month, and you can win. I just pick a random winner. So either that, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Sue Atkins The Parenting Expert, and you could win some books as well. So that's one way to keep in touch with me.
Absolutely, that's amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, Sue.
Pleasure, my pleasure. I can talk parenting all day long.
So could I. That's why I ended up doing what I was doing, because I was just doing it all the time and not getting anything from it. I was working and I just kept talking about it. So it's so much nicer to actually be able to do it as a job.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and keep up the great work that you do. And I like the little that's the elf, isn't it, behind you, the Christmas elf?
Oh, we can't have a 12 days of Christmas without an elf in the back.
I know.
Oh, by the way, just very quickly, this is absolutely fantastic. I was in Tesco with my eldest the other day. She's called Sophia, and there was an elf, exactly the same one as that one, hanging up, and I was like, oh, she spotted it. And I was thinking, okay, where do I go with this? What ideas can I come up with? And she went, that's my elf. She was adamant it was her elf. And, oh, and she was playing up a little bit, and I went, oh, it must have popped out to watch you. It must be reporting back to Santa. Boom. was like, how else can I get around the fact that her elf is in Santa watching her?
Yeah. It's like Big Brother.
I was like, oh, you must have been playing up. He's just come out to keep an eye, just letting you know that he's here. And he is keeping an eye on you all year round.
Oh, funny.
It's really difficulty when somebody else was walking around with a different elf in their hand, because as far as Sophia's concerned, we can't touch the elf because the magic disappears if you touch the elf. So, yeah, that was a conversation for this morning. Maybe they had a different reason for that elf. Maybe it was.
But you've got to think on your feet, haven't you, when you've got toddlers?
Brilliant. But no, that's absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much. And like I say, if anybody wants to get any of the information, take a look over at thesueatkins.com and have a look at the stuff that she's got. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me, Sue. See you later, everyone. Bye.
Lovely. My pleasure.